everyone, I'm Cass, and today's special guest is Sarah. Woo! All right, Sarah, if you could please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Sarah. My background was actually in biology and medicine, but my coding journey started about a year ago when I was kind of looking to do a career switch, and my friends were telling me that coding was a great avenue to go into. So I took some free online courses, Codecademy, Free Code Camp, Watching Code, and also took some LearningFuze's prep courses. And the prep courses helped me decide that I really enjoy coding, and I also liked how they taught the curriculum. So it helped me kind of reaffirm that coding was the career path that I wanted to take. So then I took the leap of faith, and then I enrolled in the full immersion bootcamp over back in April of 2020. And then I graduated in July of 2020. And then now I'm currently working as a web developer and a part-time TA over at LearningFuze. So it's been nice.
Awesome. Thanks. And so do you think that your previous background had any impact? Like, did it help? Did it help you with your job search? Did it help you with jumping into a new career field?
It definitely helped me figure out what I wanted and what I didn't want out of a career. I liked the critical thinking skills and like problem solving that came with my previous job, but I also felt like there was a lot of red tape in the industry or the field that I was in versus coding is very much like it's very experimental. You can pop out your own projects. Like the only thing that's stopping you is yourself versus kind of waiting for something else like approval or whatnot. So it definitely gave me a good guideline on what to look for in a job or career.
Oh, very awesome. That's good to hear. And then what was your experience of LearningFuze like? Especially because I know we started remotely and I mean, we're still remote. So what was that experience like, right? What did it meet your expectations?
I really liked it. My cohort for the full time actually started remote too. So it was remote all the way through, and I actually really preferred it that way. It suited my lifestyle more, and it was very convenient. Yeah, and the way that you guys handled the transition to teaching an online class, it's like super seamless. Like I don't think there was a downgrade in any quality at all, and I think the way that we communicated online was really fast and efficient. So it was great.
Nice. And then what was your favorite part of the whole experience?
The bootcamp helped me really enjoy learning again. It because there's not excuse me, it doesn't force like memorization and there's no grades. So at the end of the day, they only care that you're learning, and they made it a really comfortable learning environment where you don't have to be afraid to fail or make mistakes because it's better to figure things out now.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And then what was, I would say, the most challenging part of your experience?
Let me think about this. I would say the most challenging part for me was actually like not being afraid to ask questions. I think I'm a person who likes to kind of keep more to themselves, and I'm very bad about reaching out for help. But the bootcamp really taught me that it's everything. You're drinking, like learning all this material is like drinking water out of a fire hose. So like, don't be afraid to just. It's okay to say I don't know, and like, it's asking questions is all a part of becoming a better developer. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty good takeaway from that. And then, yeah, so you mentioned that now you're working, right? And so what was that kind of job search like after the program?
So I got very, very lucky with the job search. I applied to a couple as soon as I finished my portfolio, but TJ, the career services, superstar, kind of sent my resume out to this company, and it was an app agency, and they got into contact with me. And then the interview process and the hiring process was very fast. Like I only had a couple of like interviews, and they were all personality based. There wasn't really much of a tech assessment. So I kind of breezed on through. I would kind of feel like I'm like a luckier case in terms of my job search process.
Well, I mean, just to clarify, I mean, like, even though, yes, there's like some elements of luck, I just want you to also recognize that we can only get you so far, right? We can get you to the interview, but it is up to you to perform during the interview. So because you performed well, and like you said, and there was a bunch of behavioral questions, right, or an assessment. So, I mean, you got to definitely give credit. You're being too humble, Sarah. I feel like you got to give yourself a little bit more credit in terms of especially the way you performed during the interview, but also your work ethic or the way you presented yourself, right? So I think that's also just something to keep in mind in terms of like self-appreciation or just in terms of retrospection. So when you look back, like you did this, right? We're helping you along the way, but you're taking those leaps of faith. You're taking those initiatives, and you're, rolling it into full steam ahead. So
very true. We'll also say like, make sure that you polish up your website and all your projects, because that's kind of what my tech assessment was. They kind of just looked at the projects that I've built. So like in the future, whenever you're applying it to jobs, like make sure that what you present in your portfolio is good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good tip to have, because I also noticed that, like, especially when you're presenting to someone, you're taking into account of their user experience of the projects that you've created, throughout those weeks in the boot camp, right? This is your essentially baby that you created, and you got to make sure that it's presentable in the sense of presentation wise outside, but also, of course, whether it's like good practices of quality code. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's very good in terms of attention to detail and making sure your portfolio is finished. Nice. And then so I know you gave some advice about, in the job search. And then now I want you to think about your first day on the job. What was that like? What were your thoughts that were running through your head? How are you feeling?
Well, I'm also lucky in a sense because two other people that were, two other people were onboarded at the same time who are also from LearningFuze, who I knew. So it was great to kind of have like friends to, and it was just like very exciting to be able to work with like these good people. And imposter syndrome is definitely real, but I think like the exhilaration of just like being able to start a career in this field was just super exciting. And like, even though the imposter syndrome is there, you just got to remind yourself like you got hired for a reason, and like just take it day by day, do your best, and like everything else will hopefully fall into place.
Do you still feel a bit of imposter syndrome, even though it's been like a couple months?
I would say a lot less. It's more of, there's a lot of stuff that I still don't know, but it's always it's just like part of the learning process. And everyone at the company is super nice about sharing resources on how to learn these things. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to know that you were able to have at least some kind of familiarity and not everything was new. Of course, although like you're still learning, which is also really good and to be expected, right? And I definitely hope that you do continue to learn, right? Because that's how you can definitely improve and, of course, be at the level that you aspire to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? In the future. All right, yeah. So another big question I would like to ask is, what is it like to be a woman in tech, right? I don't know if you've noticed or not, but women in tech are not as common as men in tech, right? So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so in my cohort, there were a lot more men. There were a lot more guys than girls, and it's something that I noticed, but it didn't really negatively impact my performance in any way. We still I felt like I got all the support that I needed, but it also kind of you kind of sense an extra bit of camaraderie amongst the females, because you know that there's not as many of us here, and we're all trying to prove ourselves that we're proficient in this industry as well. So it's been good, because I feel like I think the industry sees that, and they kind of want to make sure that they kind of improve on the equality of male and female developers.
Yeah, awesome. That's really good to hear. Yeah, because I don't know. I'm also, because I've also felt it too, because I'm working on the admin and operations side, and I kind of I do see it. So I'm definitely all about everyone supporting each other. So that's good.
For sure.
And then I would say, if you could just think back to the first day of the program, what are some tips? What's a piece of advice you would give to yourself, to your mini you when you first started the program?
To my mini me?
Yes.
I would say, well, I guess it is kind of repetitive because I said it before, but don't be afraid to ask questions. I remember I was, especially when things started ramping up and we were learning a lot of material towards the senior side, I felt a lot of concepts weren't quite clicking in my head, because things were just kind of going at a breakneck speed. And instead of had I reached out earlier to an instructor and said, I don't know what's going on, I would have addressed the issue much faster, and I would have had a much more smoother learning experience. But I would also say, make sure you understand how to read documentation. I feel like the better you get at that skill, the easier it gets to pick up new things and also kind of navigate the space as a developer as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, that's so true. And I guess now that those are the lessons that you know now, right? So how are you planning to improve upon that for your future you?
For my future me, okay.
Yes.
It's just it's like working a muscle. You just gotta kind of keep doing it every day. Figure out how best you learn, and what resources you really like, and especially in addition to documentation, I also realized that I like certain developers on YouTube. So if you figure out what other kind of instructors are out there sharing material, they're great resources to have as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, it's just really rewarding in a sense, just watching each student, especially growing so much during the boot camp. So from day one all the way to the last day, and then even during the job search to when you get the first job, right?
And it's all thanks to you guys. You guys are very supportive.
And also thanks to you as well, because remember, like I said before, we help you, but you're making those leaps and bounds and intentional actions, right? So don't forget to give credit to you. Stay humble, but not too humble.
Also have to thank you for making my resume fire.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will accept that. Thanks again for tuning in to Life Updates with Cass.